Happy Friday. Happy Friday, Keith.
Thank you. Happy Friday.
Yeah. Crazy day today. Everybody's hair's on fire. Except for ours.
For ours, yeah.
Yeah. We don't subscribe to the hair on fire crowd,
No.
do we? No. So we got lots going on today, don't we, Keith? Tell us about it.
Yeah, hair on fire, like you said. You know, there's a big cybersecurity company that has made a small error in judgment
That affected almost everybody worldwide. Yeah, except for us.
Yeah, and then we'll get into that a little bit, probably a lot of it, because there's,
It's huge.
huge. We'll also talk about having a plan, because things like this happen sometimes, and what do you do when you don't have internet or your computer is suddenly on the fritz? And then kind of going along with the theme of having a plan, having a backup and testing those backups. And we'll talk about the importance of that as well. And deciding what is important, especially in your business, whether it's, the backup or having, internet and things like that. So we'll get into that as well.
Yeah, and then if we get time, we're going to talk about a project that I'm working on and working through, and it's kind of fun, but only if we get time. So stick around, because we got lots going on, but before then, we're going to take this 15-second break for the Residential Protection Plan.
The Residential Protection Plan by Honorbound IT is the best support and service for home computer users. You get top-notch antivirus, backup, and remote support. Plus, if you need in-store service, it's free. Visit us at 109 Norris Avenue, McCook, or call 877-686-6642. Your digital peace of mind starts here.
Microsoft Forms.
We're back. Hey, welcome back. Keith was just saying that we just got like another post on our page for Microsoft Form. We'll look at that when we're done the show, but man, it's been a dumpster fire in the IT world today. Typically when IT makes the national news, it's never a good thing, because of course, like, the news can never say anything good about anything.
Exactly.
Left, right, up, down, doesn't matter what subject it is. It's, you get 1 minute, like on the evening news, you get 1 minute of a happy thing that like just kind of makes your day. And the rest of the 29 minutes of the 30-minute program either comprise of ads or something completely negative. But anyways, it has truly been a dumpster fire today, hasn't it, Keith?
Oh, yeah. Outages left and right. We could start local.
Oh, yeah, let's start local, because you and I have had to deal with the fallout, and it's probably as a result of the larger picture. So, yeah, tell us about it, Keith.
Yeah, just another internet company provider, been down since yesterday afternoon sometime. Still down. We actually just got a call while we were preparing for our stream today. Still down as of 1:30 p.m. Central Time, July 18th, 2024.
That was since yesterday.
And down since yesterday, yeah. So when an internet company's down for a day, something serious is going on. And we had one of our clients actually tell us about a text message they received and said, oh, they got this message and said, oh, they're down, they're working on it, they'll try to be up as quick as possible. They don't like to give times when they do that, because that kind of holds their feet to the fire a little bit. But having the internet company down for as long as it is, there's going to be a lot of people that are going to be seriously questioning their service and how reliable it is. And if there's options available, we always recommend, a better service provider if we can. But if you don't have anything available,
It's Great Plains.
if you don't have anything available, a lot of times, because we're in a rural area, sometimes that's the only thing you can get. And, you're going to be stuck with it, and there's really no other option. So you're just going to have to wait it out. And that's what we've had to tell our customers, unfortunately, to wait it out. And so when your internet goes down, there are other options available, especially if you're a business. Now, if you're like a home user, it might not make sense financially. But if you're a business and you're running transactions and your business depends on internet, and if you don't have internet, you're losing sales, your customers are getting frustrated, it's harming your reputation because there's just these problems. We have solutions like failover internet, and we've been testing a failover internet this week with success. So small businesses out there, if you're on an internet provider that loses service frequently, get in touch with us, Honorbound IT at 109 Norris Avenue. We have solutions that are available, and we can talk about that if you ever come by.
Yeah, that's right. And that kind of will bookend, if we get time to talk about the project that I got going on. We'll bookend with that topic, but yeah, the big story of the day is the CrowdStrike outage. And what CrowdStrike is, it is a cybersecurity company, and you need cybersecurity. So, but nobody's perfect. And I think people have really unrealistic expectations of the big and the small. It doesn't matter how big or small you're human. You're going to make mistakes. And I guess an update got pushed out, and it made Windows computers worldwide blue screen. And, in some cases, like it caused problems with large retailers in many places, including the United States. It has caused problems with air traffic, just all kinds of crazy stuff, going on. And it's a real wake-up call because, bad things can happen. And it might not be a CrowdStrike thing. It could be something completely different. It could be you have an EMP, where you have, and that's a possibility. We had our little EMP this summer where we had absolutely gorgeous northern lights, but they just kind of wreaked havoc some places in the world. And, computers are a wonderful thing, don't get me wrong. I've spent my life working on computers, but they're not perfect. And they're not the only solution. They're not the only tool that we have in our drawer as human beings. So you sort of need to have some sort of a plan on how are we going to handle that thing. And I see how I transitioned.
Oh, it's smooth.
So you need to have a plan, like, what do I do? If the worst case scenario happens, what do I do? Do I just throw my hands up? How do I handle it? And I think, particularly with things like air traffic control, there was a life before all of this computer stuff, or where computer stuff was like a lot simpler than what it is now. And, they did have alternate ways of dealing with these sort of things. And you sort of need to have like a fallback plan with like, what do I do? And you need to make that plan, and, on a big scale, that's one thing. And I'm not a multinational corporation, so I don't have those skills. For a small business, maybe it's going back to doing paper and pencil for just a little bit, and keeping track of different things. And then, when things come back online, if they do, continue on as normal. But you need to have some sort of a fallback plan because these things are wonderfully reliable, 99% of the time? But then you have one day out of 365 so far of outage. Can you imagine the millions of dollars that people are losing right now because they probably don't have a plan?
Oh, yeah. Well, and not just the millions of dollars that their customers are losing, but even the company that is responsible for the air they put out. I think you said you saw their stock drop 90% just in less than a day.
Again, like it's a knee-jerk reaction.
Oh, yeah.
It's ridiculous. In my opinion, they made one damn mistake,
Well,
Of course, it caused a huge problem. Don't get me wrong.
yeah.
But they made one mistake.
Well, there's
Do we expect perfection from anything human?
no, but a mistake like this is
It's
this is it's on
catastrophic.
another level, and it's almost unacceptable because you figure a company like that is going to do testing and things like that, and they're going to make sure that the updates that they put out, because they have to rely on other customers. So you just see how one company gets affected and it just goes pyramids down. And so these companies are affected, and then not just these companies, but the company's clients are affected, and then those clients, maybe their families
all their
are
families,
affected.
yeah, it
just
does.
goes down, and so it's a huge thing, and it's just millions of people.
It'll be really interesting to see how this pans out, because there are a couple ways that this could go. The one way is that like the industry can go, oh, like crowd strike, or they can decide that, hey, listen, we're all in this together, people. Like we only have this one planet, and we only have this one ecosystem. We only have one internet. Maybe we need to like start like putting our resources together and putting all these smart. I hope that it goes this way. I am not optimistic that'll happen, but can we all just like kind of work together to solve this problem? Like what happens when?
Yeah. Well, yeah, just like you said, on the other side of that, CrowdStrike has probably saved a lot of companies.
Oh, they.
On the other end of this, the stuff you don't hear about, stuff that may not get disclosed to the public, because what CrowdStrike does, they're a cybersecurity company, and they protect companies from cyber attacks. This was not a cyber attack. This was just a misconfiguration on CrowdStrike's part. But, what they do is extremely important for businesses and organizations, where they're protecting, their customers' interests, their data, information, things like that, so they don't become breached, and, people get much more impacted financially.
It's like bad thing happening to a good guy.
Yeah.
That's essentially what happened. But, we take it from the larger picture, but then taking it down even to the smaller picture, with like a small company, even from the standpoint of, a small company where a tornado goes through, well, what do? The building is gone. What do I do? Yeah. How do I make sure that my people are okay? Number one, and then you can extrapolate that down into an even smaller microcosm, your family, like knowing, hey, if we have a fire in the house, this is where we're going to meet, and having a plan in place for when bad things happen to good people, because it's life, bad things happen to good people. And if you plan accordingly, your plan might not work out, but your odds of successful and more positive outcome increase as you plan. And I'm not saying that you need to dwell on this, and make yourself into like some sort of a, prepper kind of deal, because there's the whole other extreme where the actual, planning becomes the problem.
Yeah.
But, having some sort of a reasonable plan that works for you, your family, your company, is not an unreasonable thing to spend a little bit of time doing. And, honestly, nobody likes to think of bad things happening to them. So that's why they don't do it. Because I don't want it. It's like I used to sell life insurance back in the 90s. And, nobody wants to talk about their demise, but it's going to happen, and as sad as it is, we're all going to like leave this planet at one time. But the people who have a better outcome for themselves and their family are the ones that plan, and the ones that, put a reasonable amount of resource toward this possible eventuality. Anyways, enough of that bandwagon. Let's move on to another topic. How about like, when is the time to test your backups, Keith?
Well, the time to test your backups, I would say, would be right now. With the things that are going on, you want to make sure that, if your computers are going down and blue screening randomly, you want to make sure that your backups work. So you probably should have tested them before now, if that happened to you. But yeah, it's so important to first of all, to have a backup, right? And we always tell people, have the importance of backup. We use the 3-2-1 method. You have 3 copies of your data. You make sure those are in 2 locations, a physical copy that's not on the computer, as well as a cloud copy that's backed up so that you can get to it anywhere. And then, 3, 2, 1.
Yeah, another local one.
Local
It's
copy.
good to have a local one because then you're able to restore a lot quicker than, what your internet provider can provide you. But yeah, it's extremely important. The worst time to test your backup is when you actually need it, and then find out that it's not, working for you, as probably a lot of folks are finding out now. It's like, man, I should have, paid attention and done my regular testing on my backups. And, that's one of the things that we take extremely seriously here, particularly for our commercial customers, that everything is tested every day. Every day for our commercial customers that have like an actual, what's called a BDR, which is like a disaster recovery device in their network. It actually boots the machine, shows the boot up screen that it was successful in the boot up every flipping day, because I don't want my customers to lose even a smidgen of data. And so that's extremely important. But, that's kind of the cart before the horse, because you also have to consider what's important to backup. For some stuff, it's like, like it's trivial, no need. If you don't hold, let's start from the lowest common denominator to the upper. Going from like the home user, and I'm not saying that home user is the lowest denominator, but the least impact. You have personal impact on when you're a home user. If you lose all of your pictures, all your family pictures, that is a very painful experience. But you don't lose yourself monetarily. Your livelihood isn't hurt. But if that's really important to you, that's something that you need to pay attention to and back up. Do we have any comments, Jennifer?
No.
All right. So that's one thing, but then as a business, like there's customer data. I know my business has spent countless dollars on marketing and, gathering that information that our customers give us so that we're able to do a better job of explaining to customers what we do and how we can solve problems that they have. That costs a lot of money. Advertising is not cheap. The marketing systems that you use are not cheap. The time that you spend putting stuff in is not cheap. The accounting systems that you have are not cheap, and they're getting more dang expensive every day. And the time that people put in to putting accounting information in is not cheap either, and required by law. What kind of weight do you put on that? And what kind of investments do you put in your mind that you need to put in order to protect that data? That's just a question that you have to ask yourself. And if that's something that you haven't asked yourself, let us know. We can help you. often it's pennies on the dollar. And we try to, make sure that, again, your stuff is protected and that the backup has integrity so that when you need it the most, when the bad thing happens to a good person, we're there to help. That's what matters, right? That's why we're here.
Exactly.
No other reason.
No, and you actually made a good point, Greg. I was going to say, it's not expensive. We actually have a plan, security on a shoestring for small businesses who are starting up, who just need the basics. And backup is definitely a basic. You get antivirus and support as well, but since we're talking about backup, like you said, daily backup of your computer. You're entering transactions every day. You're doing statements and creating files every day. The time it takes to make those, if you lose that, you have to go back and do that time all over again. And if you're paying somebody to do that time, you made a good point about, that employee, they just worked 16 hours on getting these documents and these files all made. They're gone. Okay, another 16 hours. You just doubled your labor cost right there. So, like you said, it's not as expensive as you'd think. Better to have it and need it than not have it. So,
well, and the worst thing, like business people are the worst people for this, is they don't value their own personal time. Mm-hmm. And actually, like, what was it, about 6 months ago, roughly? I found a spreadsheet, and if you're interested in it, I'll help you find it. But it was a paid spreadsheet that I bought called Labor Load Calculator, because business people are the worst ones for not valuing their time. It's like, well, it doesn't cost me anything. It costs you dearly. You're probably the most expensive person in your entire outfit. So Labor Load Calculator is really, really handy. It helps you with pricing stuff reasonably and saying, hey, it costs me this much for all my tools. It costs me this much for maybe my employee time. It costs me this much so that for my time. And I spend maybe, you work out some sort of a quasi percentage of how much time you spend versus your employees, make a rough calculation, and then you come up with a number of how much money does it cost me every hour to assist you. And that's where the number comes up. And that's how it works. So, if that's something that you're interested in, talk to me, because we really want your business to succeed. And that's one small tool that we have in our drawer that we can help you with.
Yeah. Well, and when they succeed, you succeed. So
yeah, exactly.
Everybody wins.
What goes around comes around, right?
Exactly.
So yeah, it looks like we do have some time to talk about a little project that we got going on.
Oh.
So we have a network bundle that we provide for many clients. We have about 15 people on it right now. And, it includes like firewall, and we deal with all of your Wi-Fi and all of that neat stuff, and your security on the edge point, which has to do with like bad stuff coming in over the internet. It's kind of like the first line of defense stuff. But we did bring up the internet failover. So if in the instance, let's just give you an instance that CenturyLink was your primary internet provider, and they're down. Well, our systems will actually fail over to Verizon or whatever internet, whatever service our device is connected to, because Verizon is one of them. We have some customers that are on Vero because the Vero service is better in their area. But we have it flip over to the LTE service. But beyond that, we really don't like letting our equipment get too old and too outdated. So every, 3-4 years, we like to swap the equipment out proactively to make sure that I'd rather have like a 5-minute downtime while I change the equipment out versus my internet's down, my router's down, and you need to come replace it, and then you're out for a day or 2 days or whatever it takes for the courier to bring equipment to me.
Mm-hmm.
So I have a big project right now where we have actually 13 because 2 of them don't expire for another year. But I have 13 firewalls that I need to replace. And then when we go in there, we're going to replace all of the access points and like at the same time. You know, it's just good practice to replace old equipment that, you know, is kind of on the edge. You know that the odds are getting a lot higher for it to start failing before it fails. So going to Fort Collins next week for a couple days, and we'll do some of our clients out there. Pretty excited about that because I really love my clients out there. They're just good people, aren't they?
Mm-hmm.
They've been out there before.
Yeah, and the benefits really to replacing that equipment, you know, when you're on the network package that we offer, you know, you're paying for service as well. So you get the service. We do all the upgrades, the firmware updates, any modifications that need to be done, and things like that. We also support the equipment itself. So, like you said, if it's going fine, hey, 3 years, we're just going to replace it, no charge. You know, you're going to get new stuff. You don't have to pay anything extra. Your bill's not going to change. You're going to live on as normal. You're just getting new stuff. If something happens,
Yep,
it's
you're going to get new
warranty.
stuff.
You're getting new stuff. You're not going to pay anything extra. You might have, you know, a little bit of hiccup in between, but it's not going to cost you anything extra because the devices are covered by Underground IT. So there's nothing that you have to worry about.
Yeah,
as
but
long
we
as you're
own
on
the
plan.
equipment. So
Exactly. So we want to make sure the stuff works, and you know, especially with the remote support, and Fort Collins is, you know, over 4 hours away. You know, we don't want to be driving there to just replace stuff, you know, in the middle of the day is when things are going wrong. So we replace those ahead of time, whether you're 400 miles away or whether you're 4 miles away, it doesn't matter. We want to make sure that the equipment is, you know, quality and it works. It's under warranty. If something happens, it's covered. We can replace it. It doesn't cost anybody anything extra.
yeah, and the wonderful thing about it is we also, you know, by replacing it, we end up taking advantage of some of the advances in technology. So if somebody needs a quick change, like I need to change the password on my Wi-Fi, I can do that from my phone now.
Oh yeah.
Where, you know, the last iteration of what we were putting out, you couldn't do it from your phone. It just was not convenient. You know, and making those little tweaks that need to be done from time to time to make sure your business is running smoothly and securely. You know, one of the other things that we're able to do that we weren't able to do before is we're able to block foreign countries. You know, so specifically, you know, our adversaries like Russia, China, North Korea, Cuba, all of those people that, you know, you guys don't see it, but I do. I mean, I've got a client in Fort Collins that is an accountant, and they're in the cloud, and we have them well protected. Don't get me wrong. However, they are constantly getting bombarded with attempts from China and from Russia to try to get at their data. They know they're a small company, but we've got you beat. It drops all the packets from there. And so, you know, these are some of the things that we can do when we continuously replace stuff, you know, planned replacements, because the old stuff just doesn't have the ability to do it. I have no place to go and make those changes. So it's exciting stuff. And, you know, like I enjoy the people side of it more than anything else, because honestly, it doesn't take me very long now that I've done a few of these. You know, it gets to be fairly routine for me to configure these things out. But coming out to see you is flipping awesome. So Fort Collins customers, you're probably not watching, but if you are, I'm really looking forward to seeing you And that's kind of the big part of my business is you. So see you soon.
That's right. It goes back to saying when they succeed, we succeed, right?
Exactly.
And
exactly.
we don't have to fail.
We don't. No. But if we fail together, right?
We fail together, unfortunately.
Yeah, we fail together. But we have failed before. We're human, but we've always made things right every flipping time, much to my detriment most of the time. But even if it's your fault, we're going to make sure that you're not the injured party. That's extremely important, and part of our follow-up plan is making sure that we have insurance. And this is something that a lot of people in my position don't think about, is like, I want to make sure that it's financially backed, that if something happens, I don't have $1 million, you have $1 million loss. I make sure that what I do is financially backed, and I spend a lot of money on insurance, making sure that you're not the injured party at the end of the day. So on that note, let's kind of move to like a lighter topic, because we all know, why was the internet created, Keith?
Well, it's created for some cat pictures.
Absolutely. So we're going to switch to cat pictures, and this we don't know whose cat this is, and it might be nobody's cat, or it might have been a drop off or whatever. But he comes to our house and eats, because we would never let a cat starve. But this is who we call Boots. He might have another name. If it's your cat and you're watching this, put it in the comments, because we'd like to call him by his real name if he's got a real name. He comes to our house, and of course, last week Peggy had Graceland, and he continues to come to my house because, like a 7-year-old, fed him like at least 3 or 4 delectables in a row.
Oh, wow. Yeah,
but he's the most lovely little thing. We just love him to pieces, and he was just kind of chilling out on the front porch. We put ice water out back for him now because it's been so ruddy hot. But if he's your cat, let us know what his real name is. We'd love to know.
Well, we got one more thing we're going to check in. We have a cyber tip for the week.
Yes, that's right.
Transportation scams. There's a lot of that out there.
Because I'm traveling, that's kind of a good
you
topic.
might need to check that out.
I'll check that out.
Today's cyber tip is about transportation scams. If you're planning a trip, be aware of these types of scams that could steal your money, leave you stranded, or worse yet, put you into a dangerous situation. Scammers might offer fake tickets or misleading travel deals, taking advantage of people looking for affordable options. They use fake websites or ads to make you pay for services that don't exist. Here are 3 security tips for planning a trip. First, use well-known travel services. Don't book through unfamiliar websites or respond to random offers. Second, use official apps when possible, and be careful of sharing personal info and payment details. If something seems off, investigate before paying. And third, in some cases, dishonest taxi or ride-sharing drivers may try to overcharge or cheat passengers. Confirm pricing with taxi or ride-sharing drivers before starting your journey. By following these tips, you can avoid being a victim of a transportation scam. Make your travels safer and worry-free.
All right, it's time to dance our way out of here, Keith.
Oh, it's time.
Friday afternoon, dance to the music.
That's right. Watch out for those transportation scams while on your way out.
Yeah, that's right. Just watch out for those. But we're really happy that you joined us today, and come see us next week for another episode. We'd love to have you. And until